Welcome back to 7th Cut Recap. Today we're diving into one of the most daring and legendary heists in British history, the Great Train Robbery. The story opens on November 27, 1962, adapted from a true event. A professional, highly organized gang prepares a robbery at an airport. Each member knows his role. 5 of them enter the terminal and slip into the restroom to put on masks. From a window, they wait and watch for the armored car carrying the cash. When the shipment's vehicle arrives, they move down to the entrance and attack the guards escorting the money. Their leader is waiting outside. They seize the cars and vanish before the police can respond. At first, the operation seems a total success. They expect a haul of 400,000 pounds. But when they open the bags, they're shocked. The shipment contains only 62,000 pounds. The shortfall enrages the gang. They'd counted on a much larger sum to cover the job's costs and fund the next operation. Bruce, the gang's leader and planner, deducts expenses and divides the remainder. After his cuts, each man takes away only $4,000. The angriest is Charlie, who gathered the intel for the job and admits he miscalculated the amount from the start. He tells Bruce this mistake won't happen again and vows the next job will be much bigger. They try to celebrate at a restaurant. While Bruce slips to the men's room, a stranger confronts him about the airport heist that's been splashed across the papers. Bruce brags that a simple, clean job of 600,000 pounds would be considered a success. The man answers that he won't let crooks operate free. He will pursue them until he catches them all. He introduces himself as Frank, the inspector assigned to the case. Bruce remains unfazed. He tells Frank to say hello to his boss and Mr. Butler, and promises Frank will meet him soon. The next day, 2 gang members, Jody and Roy, meet a Scotsman seeking professionals for a different job. He explains the plan: a night robbery on a mail train. The front carriage will hold the collected cash, used notes and bank surpluses, gathered at every station the train stops at. The train calls at 7 stations on its way to London. The robbery will take place after the last stop, once all the money has been loaded. They expect 60 to 70 bags, a total that could exceed 1 million pounds. They confirm the haul by watching workers unload sacks at the train's final station. There really is a lot of money on board. Planning begins in earnest. The first question: where to stop the train so that all the money will be in the front carriage. Bruce insists they must hit the train after its last pickup, ensuring the cash is concentrated in one place. The second problem: how to stop the train without alarming the roughly 70 workers on board. A train only stops at stations or by signal. To avoid suspicion, they need someone with railway experience who can legitimately signal the train to halt. Frank tells them he knows a man who can help. Frank visits a flower shop and speaks with Mr. Roger, a former employee of the railway company. He explains the operation in detail to persuade Roger to cooperate. Roger doesn't refuse outright, but he sets a condition. If he's involved, then all the members of his crew at the company must participate too. Frank reports Roger's demand to Bruce. Bruce has no choice. Without Roger and his colleagues, they cannot stop the train or move the sacks. They need help loading and transporting the money, and if anything goes wrong, a larger team will be necessary. More men on their side increases their chances of success and gives them a better chance to defend themselves if any of the 70 workers notice suspicious movement and fight back. The gang and Roger's company hold a meeting to decide which bridge they will use to stop the train, and they choose bridge number 127. This is the spot where the signal will be fixed and where the train will be halted so they can board and begin the robbery. Bruce and Roger go to the signal at bridge 127. Bruce explains the plan. When the train stops, they will separate the engine car and the cargo car from the remaining carriages so they can remove the money with minimal threat. In other words, the train will be left without its engine car, while the money car is isolated for them to take. Bruce admits the job has grown large and complicated, but he trusts his men can execute it. They wait till night falls, and Roger explains that before every major signal, there is a small signal that warns the driver to either continue at speed or slow down, like a traffic light. Roger will need an assistant to operate it. Using a small battery he carries, Roger promises they can wire the red light to the battery so it will light up, while the other light can be tripped manually with a glove. It's simple, Roger says. Though he notes the irony, simplicity is often the most complicated thing. Preparation continues. Jody is assigned to learn to operate the train and is secretly taken to practice in the middle of the night so no one will notice. He studies from a manual and eventually manages to move the car, but when he tries to use the brakes, he damages them, injuring himself and another accomplice. They escape the scene, and the next day, there's no trace of the ruined car. It becomes clear they must recruit a retired train driver who can genuinely drive and stop the engine. Bruce tracks down an old driver and convinces him to help. With everyone assembled at the farmhouse, Bruce lays out the final plan. They will wear army uniforms because of military bases nearby. That will give them authority if anyone appears, even police. They allot 15 minutes to unload all the bags, and no one will carry firearms to avoid escalation. After the robbery, they will all hide at the farmhouse until things calm down, each prepared with an alibi for their absence. In the weeks leading up to the heist, they rehearse, wearing gloves to avoid leaving fingerprints. At 0030, after the Scotsman's signal, they move into position. By 1:30, they're at Bridge 127. John attempts to set the red light and green light with gloves, but struggles, and in the end leaves the red light illuminated. The train slows and stops at the main signal. Confused by a green light further ahead, the driver's assistant steps out to call the control center. In that moment, two gang members separate the engine, driver's car, and the money van. They overpower the drivers and leave one guard outside. The driver tells them the car must wait while air is released from the brake system. After 5 minutes, the money car is free to be moved. It is then brought under the bridge where the gang has prepared waiting vehicles to receive the sacks. They protect the money car and subdue the workers before any alarms are raised. Bruce times the transfer precisely. The gang loads the bags onto their cars and speeds back to the farmhouse. Once home, Bruce orders everyone to keep their gloves on. The heist succeeds. They spend the day counting the loot. Bruce is roused by Frank to join the count because Charlie refuses to reveal totals in Bruce's presence. Charlie announces the staggering sum, £2,631,000. Enough to fill a room. The crew celebrates their massive haul. After the heist, the gang hears on the radio that the police received reports of army vehicles moving near the train's route. This makes traveling in vehicles dangerous, and they quickly decide to repaint their cars to avoid recognition. Meanwhile, the police expand their search, inspecting every house and farm along the train's path. Anxiety grows among the gang. They know they must leave the farmhouse the next day, clean it of any fingerprints, and vanish. However, they left a fingerprint on the bathroom bathtub. Buster, the man assigned to clean the house after them, had abandoned the task. He suspects the gang left evidence behind, and their failure to properly clean puts them at risk. Any clothes or fingerprints left behind could identify them. Back home, Bruce listens to the radio and learns that the police have discovered the gang's hideout, and a manhunt is imminent. 8 officers are assigned to investigate, led by Detective Butler. The team agrees to work together and avoid contact to protect themselves. Bruce is identified as a participant, and his photo appears in newspapers, yet he continues to hide and use the money from the operation. 4 days after the robbery, the police have made no progress. The foreign minister personally appoints Butler to lead the investigation, trusting his reputation as the one-day investigator, known for solving any case swiftly. Butler moves to the farm, its location revealed by an anonymous tip about military-style vehicles heading in that direction. He arrives with his team, extracts fingerprints, and begins cross-checking anyone who disappeared or took sudden leave during this period. Through careful investigation, Butler identifies Bruce as a suspect. Detective Frank speaks, who was in charge of the airport robbery case and had been monitoring the gang's activities at a restaurant. However, Frank had no evidence against them. Butler orders investigators to monitor Bruce and his associates closely, searching every corner of the farm and lifting fingerprints. This meticulous work exposes several gang members, including Roger. Roger had purchased an old garage from an old lady, paying her 3 months in cash. They show her a large amount of money. The old woman, the widow of a deceased officer, she reports their suspicious behavior as soon as she sells them the garage. And upon investigation, Roger was arrested, and the garage search reveals a bag full of money from the train robbery. Roger confesses that the money is from the heist but refuses to give further details. Meanwhile, Butler takes the evidence to the crime lab, which identifies many fingerprints from the farm. He compiles a list of suspects to cross-reference with his data. The next day, a report arrives of a bag of money buried in the forest. Butler's team investigates and finds a restaurant receipt signed by the lawyer who handled the farm rental. When questioned, the lawyer claims he had no knowledge of the farm being used as a gang hideout. He says he spent the day at home with his wife before the robbery. However, neighbors reveal that during that period, the lawyer had numerous visitors arriving in multiple cars, raising further suspicion. Detective Butler is ordered to release all the photos of the suspects to the press, a strategy meant to confuse the gang. Butler feels vulnerable about this decision, knowing it risks exposing everything they've uncovered and limits his control over the investigation. Despite his concerns, the photos are published, creating chaos. Finally, the forensic results identify one gang member with certainty, Charlie. The police immediately raid his house and arrest him. However, the newspaper photos have made the public vigilant. Citizens report sightings of the men pictured, and by the end, they arrested Jody too, but he defends himself with a strong alibi, proving he was traveling with his family at the time of the robbery. Without concrete evidence linking him to the crime, The authorities are forced to release him. Meanwhile, Butler continues his relentless pursuit. Through informants, tips, and meticulous investigation, he tracks down the rest of the gang. One by one, they are caught, all except Bruce, who has been hiding expertly, using a back ladder to access his apartment unnoticed. Two police officers spot the ladder and check the apartment, but Bruce, aware of the surveillance, immediately relocates with his wife before they can arrest him. Time passes, and the first trials for the arrested gang members finally begin. After 43 days of trials and 63 hours of jury deliberation, verdicts are delivered. Those found guilty receive long prison sentences, some for life. Only two members remain free. Buster, who was supposed to clean the farm but abandoned his role at the last moment, and Bruce. 2 years later, Buster turns himself into the police. He admits that his job was to clean the farm of fingerprints, but fear kept him from fully executing the task. By confessing, he seeks to end his life in hiding. Bruce remains the last gang member on the run. After 4 years of relentless pursuit, Butler finally locates Bruce. Confident in his ability to capture him, Butler organizes a full squad to arrest Bruce at his house, who was saying goodbye to his wife and son. Buster receives 15 years in prison, while Bruce is sentenced to 25 years. With the gang dismantled and justice served, Butler retires, bringing an end to one of the most notorious cases of his career. And that was the true story behind one of the most daring heists in history, the Great Train Robbery. A plan so perfect, it almost got away. Almost. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to catch all our upcoming movie summaries. See you soon.